And the process of allocation of revenue, I am privileged and proud to announce today that this year I my own book. Mr. Speaker, especially the poor. These include how resources are shared in Kenya. It has not been nice. Before the Constitution, resources used to follow the community and region of the head of state. The new Constitution has changed all that. It is so nice. Mr. Speaker, I recall my contributions in these many debates, especially on the division of revenue and county allocation bills. It is not always easy. It is not always easy, especially when you are confronted by the mindset of members of the National Assembly. Members of the National Assembly on matters of division of revenue are so misguided, they think that is an opportunity for them to defend what should go to the national government at the expense of what should go to the county governments. Far from it. All our members of the National Assembly come from counties. So any money going to Meru should be good news for Honorable Mundikiri. Nothing personal about it. Mr. Speaker, while serving in the National Assembly, I was a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Not many Kenyans know that from independence, I am the only member of parliament who has the longest service as chairman of public accounts in the National Assembly. At that time, chair of public accounts was reserved for the leader of the opposition. So I sat in the same seat where Moi sat, where Kenneth Matiba sat, where Mwai Kibaki sat, where Jaramogi sat. The only difference is that I outlasted them. I was there for 8 years. I was there for 5 years while they were there on sessional basis. Mr. Speaker, while I was chairman of public accounts, Parliament was able to make momentous decisions. I moved the House on the momentous issue of the conduct of the then Minister for Finance. His name was Honorable Amos Kimunya. And we removed him from office. It was amazing how President Mwai Kibaki, to whom Amos Kimunya was a blue-eyed boy, how he remained aloof and never interfered from the beginning up to the time we removed him. I also had a very difficult motion of censure, which I moved the House. Difficult because it was against my teacher, Professor Ongeri, then Minister for Education. He was my teacher at the School of Medicine at the University of Nairobi, Professor of Pediatrics. We did not succeed. Another very exciting motion of censure, ladies and gentlemen, was against the then Minister of Agriculture, who would later become Deputy President and now President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto, in the Ministry of Agriculture on the issue of the maize scandal. It was so exciting, sometimes I still go back to those videos, because it reached a point when the Speaker decided, Mr. Speaker, to bend the rules, to allow for a personal exchange between me and His Excellency the President. It was so hot that the speaker of that day was Mheshimiwa Marende. Marende actually, quote unquote, ran out of the chair. He left it to Farah Mohammed, and Farah Mohammed allowed us, and those are one of the best debates I've ever participated in these precincts. Mr. Speaker, I have equally had an opportunity to participate and reflect on the mediation process. Mediation doesn't have rules. For those of you who will eventually find an opportunity to sit there, there are no rules there. It's like you've gone to cut deals. Let us give, let us take. There's nothing that guides you. I wish we could apply our minds more on mediation. Before I finish, allow me to highlight adherence to the Constitution. You have heard me clash with the chairs in the House here, even with our Speaker, in my attempt to pursue the independence of Parliament and the freedom of speech when a member is on the floor. It's usually so difficult. The reason why this is very important, colleagues, if you have time, go and check. Thousands of years ago, a special charter in 2015, the year 2015, called the Magna Carta, was released in the United States of America. And in that charter, it is agreed that the work of a parliamentarian is to represent people, to oversight the national government, and legislate. It is agreed. However, without remembering all those functions, if you just stick to the Magna Carta, it says there can be no successful democracy unless the executive is put under fierce checks and balances. The moment you apply fierce checks and balances, you would not be having the questions that are people asking today about SHA. You would not be having the confusion that you get in the new curriculum called the competency-based education. Checks and balances. Ladies and gentlemen, as I leave this parliament, God knows when, we want to hand it over to young people. Courage. Courage, so courageous that even when you face the speaker, you don't see him as a speaker. You see him as the 68th member of the House. Many times when you are in the House, Mr. Speaker, we don't look at you as member number 1 of the 68 member houses. Sometimes we look at you as a very big man. And when you are seated with that thing of judges, you are usually very intimidating. I am therefore ending on a positive note that the process of resource allocation is working very well. But the governors are letting us down, Mr. Speaker, a little bit. They could do more. Mr. Speaker, I sat in the House when the House decided that we should not debate the division of revenue bill so as to send a message to governors how they use funds. Mr. Speaker, I was at a loss. I said, who told us senators that we have that power? Which constitution gives senators power to refuse to debate the division of revenue bill? Go and look at 218. You are lucky we vacated that position. That position alone was enough for litigant Kenyans to go to court and pray that Parliament be dissolved. And it would have been dissolved. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That is Senator Halwale, no less. He has introduced an interesting perspective about what other publications it may be necessary. This list of 4 is not exhaustive, and this is an invitation to senators to consider any other publications you think would be useful. At an appropriate time, the Speaker may consider whether to direct that the words smaller universities be expunged from the record of proceedings that have transpired here. Allow me to invite another very distinguished senator, long-serving, long-standing senator, to come to the fore, Senator Fatuma Dulo, CBS MP. A big hand for Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Clerk. The Right Honorable Speaker of the Senate, allow me also to ride on already established protocols. Mine is very brief. I think I'm here to share experience for the period I've been in the Senate. And let me say here is that I came to the Senate 2013. And I was nominated then by URP. Now, 2013, we never had a single lady elected in the counties. We were all nominated as ladies. And that had also its own challenges as far as the activities or mandate of the Senate is concerned. Members, I think I'm really proud for the period I've been in the Senate that we have had a big growth to make sure that Senate is where it is today. And I think this is as a result of a sacrifice by so many members of the past Senate and also members of staff who started with us. When we came in at the beginning, I'll be very fast, we never used to have chambers. We used to sit at KICC in a place that was called garage, where the mics were not there. We could only use those hanging mics up there, and you must shout. But we said we must deliver on our mandates. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifices, if I may enumerate a few of them, and I think that was also accompanied with experience sharing that we visited several countries that had a similar jurisdiction with Kenya. One time, we went with Kiraitu Murungi and Junior to Australia just to understand how their parliament operates. Now, the Senate and the National Assembly of Australia, the House of the Senate, the Speaker was called, or even is called right now, the President of the Senate. And the President of the Senate then had his own secretariat, had his own commission, had his own budget. There was no mix at all, except on matters that complement each other. Mr. Speaker, we tried actually to bring that to this particular Senate. And I think the fight we had wasn't easy. I know the clerk of the Senate, Honorable Nyegenye, was whipped severally and almost removed from being the secretary of the commission. And he was being told, you are a senator, were you the 5th or the 4th senator within the commission? Amendments introduced in the PAC legislations. And I think Jeremiah Nyegenye, the clerk of the Senate who is seated here, has gone through a lot of challenges to have the current publication that we have today. And a round of applause for the clerk of the Senate. Mr. Speaker, we used to have a lot of dramas in the Senate. In the passing of the revenue bill, you are being told you are representing the government, or you have been elected by the party of the government, you are opposing this formula. I remember one time I was actually called to Jubilee House, and I was a deputy majority leader. I was told, you are opposing this bill, and your people are buying properties in this Nairobi. You are governors. And I told them, go and arrest those governors, but I must stand with my people. That was last Senate. It wasn't easy. I remember Malala Lelegwe and who was the third one? Dr. Langat were arrested, arraigned in court, and Senate National Security Committee was formed to look into their issues. And they vowed they will not support the formula that was introduced by the government then. Those are sacrifices that senators have made. Mr. Speaker, bills had its own challenges, because you can come up with a bill as a senator. When it goes to the National Assembly, it's plagiarized, or it's not passed, or they actually make similar bills in the name of it's a money bill, and you are not informed. One time, and I think it was last Senate, we said, in fact, I was confronted in State House with the speaker then, Lusaka. You guys, you're taking me to court, and you're in leadership. I will deal with you. And we said, we will not accept. You remember when we had Senate Mashinani in Kitui, and I think the clerk of the Senate was there. We said we must move to court. We filed a case, and Mr. Speaker, I remember Senator Speaker Lusaka refused to move to court with us. He was in the office, we were in the lounge. And we said we should not go to court without the Speaker of the Senate. When he refused, we called each other and we said, we must impeach you if you are not going to work with us to the High Court. And we had to shout loud until the Speaker came in. We walked all the way from this chamber to Milimani High Court. And in that, we have achieved a lot. Mr. Speaker, on Oversight Fund, I know members are really celebrating today, but it wasn't easy. I will do very fast, Clerk. We started, one time I was the chair, we were told we must come up with a regulation. We did the regulation. It went to the National Assembly. It was shot down. We were called to State House in Mombasa. and National Assembly wasn't ready actually to give us the oversight fund. They said they also wanted oversight fund. Not only Senate should have oversight fund. The then president said, after all, CDF is illegal, NGAF is illegal, let Senate oversight be illegal. They should be given. We came here, we sat with the National Assembly leadership. It was shut down. We moved, 500 million was put in the Senate account. Shortly after that, it was removed. So I can tell you, we have had a lot of fight as far as oversight fund is concerned. Committees, there were a lot of challenges. I know none of the senators, ladies, were even vice chair in the previous two Senate. I think I was the only vice chair of security in the first Senate. I remember ladies used to make a lot of noise when Senator, current Speaker, Wetangula used to challenge ladies on the floor of the House. You flower girls who are here as voting machines. And we used to have a lot of fight with him. But fortunately, last Senate and this Senate, we had 3 women senators who have been elected to the Senate. The sky is the limit. For those who are here, you should make sure that you have fought for your space. Finally, Mr. Speaker, if I may conclude, as a senator, and I know it's in all the counties, nobody else understands the role of the senator. Every time I go to my county, I'm being asked, where is development? Kazi yako ni kupiga kelele peke yake. Where is bursary? Where is money for medical? It's hard for Kenyans to really understand the role of the Senate. As Senator Halwale said, sometimes we are challenged. At the beginning, this Senate should be dissolved as the first Senate. So, the work of Senate requires a lot of sacrifice. For us to be where we are today, we have learned a lot. We have gone through a lot of challenges. The dramas that we used to have in the last Senate, I remember one time, finally, when Murkomen, Susan, and a few leadership were being removed from the House. And there was a court order by the 3. The Speaker, Lusaka, was actually to go and give communication in the House to remove the 3 or to retain the 3. Some of us in leadership, we went to sit with the Speaker. I think Senator Madzayo was there then. The Speaker was being called from the State House. Can you make sure you have delivered that communication to remove those leaders from the leadership of the House? Some of us in the House, we are saying, you should not make that communication. The clerk of the Senate is saying, Speaker, my legal position is you must actually read the ruling, the court decision. The Speaker had to sit almost 2 hours before he could make a decision. And some of us stood on him, Speaker, you must go and make a decision. So you see, there are a lot of challenges that the former senators, the secretariat that you can see before us, have faced a lot of challenge, have gone through a lot of challenge to have the current amendments and review of the policies and legislation and the standing orders that we have today. I am happy to have served in the Senate for the 3 term, which I'm actually completing now. We have made strides. But one day, I would want to see where Senate will have the Speaker as the President. The Senate has its own PAC. It has its own budget, and they are going to be independent of the Senate. With that, thank you very much for listening to me, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
The advice given by the clerk to senators or to the Speaker is given in confidence. So I am not able to confirm whether, whether anything that has been attributed to the clerk was or was not said or done. Allow me to take this opportunity, because a number of the senators will not have occasion to speak, to acknowledge the senators who are present among us in no particular order. Allow me to acknowledge senators who have joined us: Senator Beatrice Ogola, Senator Edwin Sifuna, Senator Alan Chesang, Senator Christo Asige, Senator Catherine Muma, Senator Paul Karungo Thangwa, Senator Githuku of Lamu, Senator Betty Montet, Senator Hamida Kibwana, Senator Haji of the Speaker's panel, Senator Consolata Wakwabubi, Senator James Lomenen, Senator Kisang, the Senator, I have to get this right, not of Busia, from but he's the senator for Busia and also from Busia. But I don't want to start Senator Mutata off. Senator Murgor, Senator Abbas Sheikh, Senator Seki, Senator Tabitha Mutinda. The others will have occasion to speak, so they will be acknowledged at that time. Allow me now to invite to share some reflections our very own Senate Minority Leader, Senator Justice Retired Stewart Mazayo, EGH MP. Karibu sana. A big hand for the Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amazon Jeffa Kingi, and all protocols observed. Mine will be a short speech. This being my 14th year, I was here from inception with Fatuma Dulo, and I think Cheriot. This publication marks a significant milestone in the strengthening of our parliamentary practice, deepening institutional memory, and enhancing the clarity and accessibility of our procedures. As I said, I've been here the last 14 years. I think if I have to look back how I came into politics from the judiciary, it's quite interesting. And I want to thank the Right Honorable Speaker for having actually influenced my decision to come into politics. During that time, most of the big politicians in the country were going back to their counties. I think James Orengo was going to Siaya, Kajwang was going to Homa Bay, Kiraitu Murungi was going to Meru, Kagwe was also going to Nyeri, and quite a number. Amongst them was Yusuf Haji, also going back home to Garissa. I think that decision was made based on that, and I said it was time to do it. But when we started, many things happened along the way. We almost died on the same day with my brother Amazon Kingi when we were attacked at Mpwapwa with young people with machetes who said, hakuna kwenda skuli katika pwani kwa sababu nyinyi mnataka serikali hii irudi tena. So that was the decision made. And for the last 10 years, for the last 14 years that I've been around, the first 10 years, we walked the journey with the speaker. The last 5, now the last 2-3 years, I have walked with other people. Now was not with me as we went into the elections. But that notwithstanding, there were no differences, nothing at all. I want to thank also my brother Sifuna for coming to Kilifi and spent quite some time campaigning for the party and literally campaigning for me. And I thank you so much, my brother Sifuna. Having said that, I think now you know how I came into the Senate as a parliament. In this occasion, the standing orders are the heartbeat of any legislative body. They keep discussions on track, make sure everyone is heard, and help uphold fairness, accountability, and transparency. But let's be honest with ourselves. On their own, rules can sometimes feel hard to follow. We make mistakes when we come in. Some of us take very long to learn the procedures, to learn the standing orders, and we have seen. At least now, my brother Mundigi has appreciated this, because when he came, he used to speak and speak and speak. Even when he is on a wrong order, he continues. But I'm glad now he has learned and he's moving on very well. And that's what makes this annotated edition so helpful. It adds context and clarity, turning those rules into something much easier to understand and apply in real situations. By providing explanations, interpretations, and practical insights, these editions will serve not only as a reference, but a tool for seasoned legislators, but also as a vital guide for new members, staff, researchers, and the public. It bridges the gap between written procedures and practical applications, enabling more informed participation in legislative process. Finally, I just want to add my voice on the most important role of the senator, as provided for under Article 96. A number of us here will want to become senators in the next elections in 2027. It may not be that easy to be a senator, because most of the time, I want to share the same experiences with my sister Fatuma Dulo. They will ask, where is the project for the senator? We go home, we don't give bursaries, we don't start projects. We literally do nothing when we go home. We are on holiday. When we come back to the Senate, that's where our work starts. And therefore, sometimes it's very unfair when I hear either members of parliament or members from the National Assembly, or I hear it from the governors. Like, what has the senator done for you? And yes, it is true. We don't do anything there, but when we come back to the Senate, we allocate money. We give them the powers. We give them the pride that they're the governors. And we are happy about that. No, I've never seen a senator complaining that his governor is getting a lot of money and he's getting zero out of that money he's taken home. And therefore, that's the true spirit of being a senator. That you're not concerned, or you're not worried whether you've taken how much money home, for as long as governors will stay to their oath.
Coordination of legislative agenda, enhance quality of debate, reduce procedural disputes that slow down the House, the strength of the Senate lies not just in its mandate, but in how effectively it executes that mandate. Clear rules strengthen our oversight role and our duty to protect county governments and devolution. The document reinforces our position as the true custodians of county interest. One of the greatest challenges in legislative institutions is the loss of knowledge over time. I'm glad that the annotated edition will ensure that precedents are documented, rulings are preserved, and future senators can build on a solid procedural foundation. As we digitize parliamentary processes, this annotated edition will be a critical reference tool. It will support a Senate that is efficient, responsive, and aligned with modern legislative practice. I encourage all senators and staff to embrace this document and uphold procedural discipline. Let us collectively strengthen the integrity and credibility of this House. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, a parliament earns its respect not just through the laws it passes, but through the order, discipline, and integrity with which it conducts its business. This publication strengthens all three, and in doing so, strengthens the Senate of Kenya. Thank you. And now I take this opportunity to invite our able speaker to come and address us. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, members of staff led by our clerk, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Clerk had wanted to say something, but I think God loves you. He's brought the clouds. So I'll spare you what I wanted to say. It gives me great pleasure to preside over this very important occasion, marking the official launch of the first edition of the annotated standing orders and 3 significant Senate publications touching on the revenue allocation, impeachment processes, and mediation in the legislative process. Today's launch is more than the unveiling of publications. It is a clear statement of the Senate commitment to institutional growth, continuous learning, and strengthening the effectiveness of parliamentary practice in service to the people of this republic. For all of us gathered here this afternoon, this step clearly mirrors the Senate's unrelenting commitment to instituting transformation meant to take devolved governance to the next level. Indeed, coming 13 years into the implementation of devolution, the launch of these publications and the annotated standing orders marks a critical milestone in the Senate's endeavor to continually improve its work through adoption of best practices and responsiveness to societal needs while addressing emerging challenges that require us to rethink old ways of doing things. I, therefore, heartily commend the Senate Secretariat, led by our able Jeremiah Nyegenye. Do I repeat that? Our able. I've said, Clerk, I'm going to be very nice to you because God has been nice to you. I have no otherwise to follow what God has done to you. I therefore heartily commend the Senate Secretariat, led by the Clerk of the Senate, Mr. Jeremiah Nyegenye, for championing the noble task that has yielded these priceless tools that we are launching today. Now, honorable senators, the first edition of the annotated standing orders represents a major advancement from the previous editions of the standing orders. While the earlier edition provided the rules in their bare form, the annotated version now enriches those rules through interpretation, precedents, procedural guidance, comparative practice, and practical explanations drawn from lived parliamentary experience. This will greatly enhance the work of the Senate by promoting consistency in rulings, improving understanding of procedure among senators and staff, reducing the uncertainty during proceedings, and enabling quicker and more informed decision-making. It will also serve as an indispensable reference tool for new senators, returning members, committee secretariats, researchers, and all parliamentary practitioners. In effect, it transforms the standing orders from a rule book into a practical working manual for legislative business. Equally significant is the publication on the process of allocation of revenue to county governments between financial year 2013, 2014, and financial years 2021 to 2022. This publication examines the revenue allocation process and highlights the procedure followed in Parliament, specifically the Senate, in applying the framework set out in the Constitution and our standing orders. This work comes at a most opportune time. Revenue sharing remains one of the most